And in 1979 or 1980, I was doing the Canadian school, which was my idea to do these schools, the summer schools, and we did one in 79, and then we did one in 80. And that's what he said, that he just didn't have it in his heart anymore to be involved. And, you know, I could still use his name and all of that stuff, but he just wasn't going to be doing anything. And, of course, up to that point, I still wanted to hold him up on the pedestal and have everybody come to meet him and listen to him and have him on TV. And, you know, he just had run out of gas as far as, you know, I guess he reached a frustration point, too, where he loved seeing what we were doing and everything, but he really wasn't involved. So when he said, I'm officially retired, I'm going to keep the factory going, but I'm not going to be running out, you know, away from North Carolina anymore, unless it's to go fishing somewhere and have fun. So, anyway, I believe it was 80, 81, I had the idea, one of the schools, it was, I think in 80, at one of the Canadian schools, a senator and a state representative from Illinois came to the school. When I found out who they were, I had this idea of, you know, promoting with states and let the government pay for it, you know, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so my plan was to make sure these guys... Now, you've been to the Canadian school, right?
No, I have not.
You haven't? Okay.
I wish I did. I don't...
Well, we were in the Winnipeg River, and I took these two guys, and it was on-the-water training and classroom training. But the on-the-water, I would spend some time with every two guys in a boat every day, sometime. And if I had 40 guys in the class, that was 20 boats I was in during the day. If I had 50 guys, you know. So on Fridays, to give me a little bit of a rest, and at the same time have some fun, we'd have a contest with the students by weight. And I thought to myself on Wednesday, when the state representative from Illinois, his name was Jake Wolf, he was also the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, which when he told me that, my ears lit up, you know. And so I was already planning something for the future, you know. So I said to myself, or he said to me one night, we were drinking a beer, he said, by the way, that Friday tournament, he said, I'd like to win. And he said, because I'm a competitive guy. He said, so if you were me, where would you do your fishing on Friday? So I told him exactly where he should be fishing in the river, and he should be, I said, I want you to put an 800 on with wire line. And I want you to drop into that 60-foot hole underneath that bridge. And I want you to head upstream until you feel that lure come up over that rocky bar. And I want you to, every time you do that, once you know that your lure is past the bar on the upstream side, stop the boat, reel in, go all the way back down to the foot of that thing again. It's about a 100-yard pass. And I said, repeat that pass and do it all day long. Well, I checked on, at noontime, we come in for lunch, an hour break for lunch and then back out. He'd come in with his partner. They had a cooler, and the limit was six fish each. They had 12 walleyes in the boat, and I believe the weight was 96 pounds.
Wow.
You do the math. Average 8 pounds apiece. And I think 2 over 10, you know, I think the smallest fish was 6 pounds. And they took those fish out and went back out in the afternoon. Needless to say, they won. And the following, I think 2 weeks after my school was over, I was invited to stop in Illinois, which I did, visited with them. And they said, could we teach people in Illinois, was their question. What I had taught them up in Canada, could I somehow bring that to the state of Illinois? I said, yeah, I could do that. They said, make a proposal, which I did. I came home and spent a few weeks in the library and looked up all kinds, how many people from Chicago are going to Minnesota every year or going out of state, either Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Canada to fish and leaving Illinois. Well, they were losing about, I think, when I figured everything out, about $70 million in revenue every year by fishermen leaving the state because they didn't think any fish were in Illinois, So my job was to teach them that there were fish in Illinois. So I put this proposal together, and it ended up, I said, I could guarantee you that I could get at least $10 million to stay in Illinois of that $70 million that's leaving, just by educating the fishermen. And I said, I'd be happy to do it for you for the criminally low price of $75,000. And I thought they'd probably agree maybe and cut the number in half and give me a little something, because after all, this guy was in my camp now, and he's the chairman of Appropriations Committee. So he had me throw a dinner for 9 politicians where I paid. And 2 weeks later, they made the big announcement in front of the press that I was the new fishing consultant of the state of Illinois.
Wow.
And all I did was put on like an advanced 3-hour school quote kind of thing in all of the big cities. I think I did 8 of them. And, we would turn out 2,500, 3,000 people, free to the fishermen, state's paying. I got all the big universities and the big hotels to give me the rooms for free because it was a free thing to the fishermen. And I got all kind of free press by taking the raiders from each city, taking them fishing.
And that was in the early 80s?
That was 80, and then in 81, and then in 82, I made a film for them on Lake Michigan. They paid me $35,000 for that. And back then, that was big money for me. And then the following year, I wrote an all-inclusive book, because they didn't have one, of all the different lakes. And I had it, I got art student to help me illustrate the book. And, I did everything, bare bones cheap and pocketed all the money. So I had a 3-year run. And then my good friend, Jake Wolf, they had built this hatchery. It was a state-of-the-art hatchery, warm water, cool water, and cold water hatchery all in one in Illinois. Spent a lot of money.
Oh, and okay. I thought that name sounded familiar. It's the Jake Wolf hatchery,
yeah.
Right?
Yep. And he was giving a speech one day, and he wasn't there on time, so they went up to a hotel room to get him. He had a heart attack and died, 53 years old.
Oh, wow.
Or I'd still probably be the fishing consultant of the state of Illinois. He was my biggest fan. But we made a film. They paid me $35,000 to make this film when the salmon were going in Lake Michigan, and they were going to try to get some corporate people coming in, and the sell was bring your corporate business to Chicago, have your convention here. You have all of the stuff you need as far as restaurants and nightlife and so on and so forth. But you can have your meetings in the morning, and at noontime you can go out the back door and go catch 25-pound, Chinook salmon. So they sent that movie all over the world. They had people comment, and and I introduced the guides up there, the big guide association, and it was a big deal. It took me and Jake and some of his crew members he brought, from the State Department. It took us three days. Film was done. $35,000. So catching a few walleyes, at 60 feet up in the Winnipeg River really paid off.